When we're born, we come into a world where there are no labels. We come into a world where we are nobody. We're not identified by our job or our degree or how much money we make or who we're married to and where we live and anything. At least in the first few moments, we are just a being that came into this world with a life full of endless possibilities, where we have no idea how what is ahead is going to shake us and inspire us and illuminate us and break us and devastate us and then pick us back up and burn us to the ground and help us rise back up. We're just there, present to the moment of our awakening into this world. We're present and we open our eyes, and suddenly we're in this place we have never seen before, in a place we just entered. Everything is so new. It's so unfamiliar. And it inspires this curiosity, this wonder, this awe eventually. And you see little babies, they're always crawling up and they want to put their finger in the socket and they want to do this and do that and they want to touch things, they want to jump on stuff, and they just want to feel everything life has to offer. They want to inhale it all and they want to know what the world is like. And they're so curious in their interaction with the world. Somewhere along the way, though, we grow up, we grow out of our curiosity, and we grow out of our what they call childishness, and we become serious and grumpy and everything is just stressful and it's all about responsibilities that I'm pissed off about, and we lose the essence of our being. And then we're walking around the world where we're looking for something. We don't know what we're looking for, but we are looking for something. And we're on this relentless mission to find that thing, thinking that it's a thing, but it's a feeling. It's a feeling that we haven't felt in decades. A feeling that almost feels like a mirage, a feeling we don't even know if it exists anymore. But we find that feeling. We find that feeling in moments of our lives. It is as fleeting as the fireworks in the night sky. It comes, it explodes, it makes us feel alive, and we believe that, oh, this feeling exists, and then it's gone. And we walk around looking for it. Are you gonna give me that feeling? Is this thing I'm gonna eat give me the feeling? Is this thing I drink gonna give me this feeling? Is this person, is this place, is this drug, is this alcohol, is this freaking sky dive? Something needs to give me the feeling, because God, I am thirsty for it. And nothing seems to give you that feeling. And so all our lives, we keep looking and looking and looking, just tasting it for a moment, and then falling back into the world where it just exists for a firework of a second. What I want to talk about today is, what are we really looking for when we're manifesting, when we're healing, when we're growing, when we're developing ourselves, when we're doing whatever the frick we're doing? What are we looking to find? I was talking to a 63-year-old woman this morning. It was 6 a.m. in the morning, 6:30 maybe. And she was sharing how she feels like she lost her spark. We were in this community and we were in a breakout room and we were talking about a beautiful, beautiful connective moment we had with our inner child. And she says, God, I'm 63 and I feel like I miss my spark. I don't know where my spark is. I used to be so curious and I used to be relentless and I used to feel life, but now I'm just here. And as we all were sharing and we were listening to one another, This one woman, she was sharing the story of how she connected with her. This one woman, she was reading a letter she wrote to her inner child. Someone was at the door and I completely lost my train of thought. But I'm gonna start here. In this video, I'm gonna share with you a little precursor about connecting with our inner child and give you an activity to do to just get to know her or get to know him, to get to know who you were before life told you who you should be. And I promise you that when you do that, it will be one of the greatest gifts you've ever given yourself. Hand to God. Because we often think that, I need to go to therapy to be better. I need to do this to be better. I need to get coaching to be better. But the truth is, at least the way I see it, is that it's not about being someone else. None of the work that we do in spirituality and healing and inner child work, shadow work, whatever you want to call it, whatever modality of healing, none of it is meant to erase who you are, to dull who you are, to change who you are. If anything, it's all about remembering who you are, becoming more of yourself, never less, never, not for a moment, less than who you are. And the misconception we come to these things with, and I've often seen people come to me with this, headspace that, I am broken and I need to be fixed. I need you to fix me. And it's like, I love you, but I'm not Bob the Builder. But no, it's the recognition that there's nothing to be fixed. None of this is about fixing yourself. It's about remembering yourself. It's about coming home to yourself, coming home to the heart of you, the light of you, the love of you. Because when we went from waking up in this world, untouched by life and untouched by people, and we made it all the way up to this moment in time, we picked up stuff that was not ours to pick up, that was not ours to carry. Whether it was pain or grief or trauma or beliefs or any form of limitation, you did not come here with it. So a life that you're living through the lens of those limitations. So for example, if I was born like this and I can see perfectly with my eyes, and then one day when I was freaking 7 years old, somebody said, here, you need to wear these shades for the rest of your life. And I wore them. And now everything I look at is tainted. It is not how, by the way, are these dirty? So perfect. But it's all tainted. I'm seeing a tainted perception from what I would see if I were seeing clearly. So I want to invite you to recognize that all of this is not about wearing new shades. It's about taking the shades off, because those are not yours to wear. You were not born this way. That is not who you are. And the longer you define yourself through the things that limited you, and you see yourself as them, like if I'm wearing these shades and I go like, no, life is like this, life is like this, life is like this. It's not that bright. It is dark. It is this, it is that. And I am so attached to these shades that I forget that I have the ability to take them off. And I want to invite you to remember just that today. That you have all the ability and power and grace, permission to take the freaking shades off, because they are not yours to wear. And that when you do, you will not erase who you are or change who you are. You will simply remember deeper who you truly are in the essence of you, in the core of you. And that is a relentless, curious, abundant, unafraid, courageous being. That is a being of light and of spark and of love and of awe. That is a being who loves because it is love. It is a being who does it all unconditionally, not transactionally. We have been taught to live in ways and be in ways that are contradictory to who we are. And that's why we suffer so much. And so many of us, and myself included, we come into these spaces of personal development and healing and growth with the mission to, be the best us. I want to be the best version of myself, but never, I want to be the realest version of myself. And so as long as you keep saying, I want to be the best version, you're saying that it's something I need to create, some skill I need to learn, some type of person I need to become, the one who wakes up at 5 a.m., the one who's got their shit together, the one who's this, the one who's that. And there's still, not to say those aren't great habits to have. If you have them, freaking amazing. I have them, guilty. Yet, those are not things that define my worthiness. Those are not things that make me the best or the worst. They're just habits. They're neutral. And so my message, after a lot of trial and error in my own life, what I learned is that it's not about being your best self. It's about being your realest self, your rawest self, your truest self, most authentic self, the self that was untouched by life, that is untouched by limitations. Water break. Wouldn't it be funny if I broke water? Although practically that would be impossible. Unless I broke ice. My parrot is named Ice. Okay, now that I did take a break, might as well pour me a cup of coffee. This coffee check is brought to you by Anna P. Sweet lovin'. Okay, I'm just, can you guys see how hot that is? Not too sure. It's too focused on me. Anyways, so the conversation then becomes, who were you when you were a child? Who were you? Before you were told, oh, don't do this and don't be this way and don't act like this and don't talk like this. Before all of that noise, who were you? In essence, who were you? Were you playful? Were you joyful? Were you curious, wondrous, brave? And a lot of times these are things that are hard to see positively because we've been conditioned to see them as bad. We've been conditioned to look at who we were as kids as, oh, I was rebellious, I was naughty, and that was bad. I was always fooling around, and that was bad. I was annoying everyone, that was bad. And I was loud, and that was bad. There's always this, that was bad, that was bad, that was wrong, shouldn't have been like that. Oh, I was too much. And I wonder what would happen if you negated that was bad part of it and just went like, okay, well, so I was loud. That means I used to speak my truth. A lot of times in our lives, we look for our power and our strength and our gifts and our purpose and all of these things. We look for them somewhere out there. We look for them in, oh, maybe, I need to get up every morning and be like, what do I love doing? We look for the essence of ourselves in like everywhere but within, because we believe that little girl, little guy, little whatever did not know anything. They were foolish and they were silly and they were, stupid or, blah, blah, blah. And so it never occurs to us that the strengths we're looking for, the uniqueness in ourselves that we're looking for is been right there all along. It's just that we've, labeled it as a bad thing. We've labeled it as a bad thing. We've labeled it as a bad thing. So we never consider that those things that we were perhaps externally shamed for were nothing to be ashamed of. That's a wild idea to so many of us that, wait, what? What do you mean? What do you mean it's not a bad thing? What do you mean I should accept and celebrate and love and embrace and be more of that person that being that self caused me so much pain? That's why I abandoned those traits. Because that's what happens, right? When you're a kid, your ego is constantly navigating, okay, I did this thing and this thing was not liked, so I need to remove this behavior. Okay, got it. And this removed behavior, where does it go? It goes in your shadow. It does not cease to exist. And now you've got all this newness in this shadow, all these traits and qualities that make you who you really are, and that embodying those would make you feel so whole and so alive and so at home. But we don't do that because we're so afraid of them. And so I'd wonder what it would be like to not judge for a moment and to maybe take a picture of yourself. So here's what you do. You take a little picture of yourself when you were a kid and just look at that baby. Like, look at them in the eye and look at who you see. Who's staring back at you? What is this kid going through? What is this kid feeling? What is this kid like? Or even, what was this kid like? Who do you know in your truth about this kid? What do you know about this kid? What were they like in their authentic, full expression of self? Who were they? What made them come alive? What do you love about them? What do you miss about them? And it is such a beautiful, beautiful experience to do this, because it really brings you home. What I loved about my younger self was her complete and utter rejection for norms and rules and the status quo, and her curiosity and her deep thinking and her always wondering what was going on behind what was going on. What were people feeling? Her intuitiveness. She was so warm and loving and open and always hugging everyone and always embracing everyone. Like she knew that, God, there is not enough love that people feel in this world, and I want to be there to spread it. And she was this beam of love, and she was unafraid, and she said things even when they were stupid. She was not afraid of consequences, and she took actions and she owned up to them. She was always act first, think later, and that allowed her to live such a rich life. Like, when I hear my childhood stories, I'm like, wow, that was wild. I did that, you know? But it teaches you. It teaches you about your core. It teaches you about what is the road back home. And in that space where you meet that loving being that you've always been, in a space when you meet the self that you abandoned, or the traits or the parts of you that you abandoned that were such, exuberant, there were such fierce reflections of who you innately are. And when you meet them, you finally realize that the spark was always there, waiting for you to look at it. So today I invite you to have a conversation or write a letter to your younger self, to your baby self. Find a picture of you anywhere, earliest picture or whatever you could find, and look at that being, human, and just voice out everything everyone's told you. And if that were your own child, what would you say? How would you love them? How would you make them feel seen? And what advice would you give them? And how would you tell them that they're so enough? And just have that moment of connection with your inner child, the little one within, and just feel an unconditional love pouring out for them. Like, imagine, like, hold that picture right in front of you and look at it, and close your eyes and imagine your hearts are connecting. Imagine your heart is connected with their heart through this, and there's this beautiful pink radiant light of love connecting both your hearts. And feel all this love for this little being, the gift of you, the blessing of you, the light of you, the love of you. Because life is short, and what you're looking to feel is in here. It's always been there. It's always been waiting to be recognized by you. And just simply reviving the essence of you is the greatest healing work that any of us will ever do. Because in reviving that essence, we revive the love that we are. And when we feel unconditional love pouring out of our hearts, that's all we ever want to feel. That's all we're all really seeking. It's love. It's the feeling of love. Because love is the way back home. So I hope this was insightful, and I hope you picked up a thing or two. I felt really called to share this today because I did a similar exercise earlier this morning, and it was so beautiful for me. It was so powerful. I mean, just to get to experience that, to get to look at her, that little one, and realize, God, you're so brave and you're so fierce, and there's so much you teach me. I'm so inspired by her. And in the inspiration I have for her, I get to remember that she lives through me, and that I am because she was, and she's a part of everything I do, everywhere I go. And oh God, it is such an honor and such a privilege. So have that moment of connection with your little one within, and come back and tell me how it goes. And I'm really, really looking forward to hearing about it.